Welcome to Commercial Real Estate Pro Network's CRE PN Radio. Thanks for joining us. My name is Jay Darren Gross. This is the podcast focused on commercial real estate investment and risk management strategies. Weekly, we have conversations with commercial real estate investors and professionals who provide their experience and insight to help you grow your real estate portfolio. Today's interview is sponsored by Building Insurance and Risk. When you invest in real estate, it pays to work with a real estate investor protection specialist to protect yourself and your investment from catastrophic loss. The experts at Building Insurance and Risk focus on your real estate investor protection. They provide you with multiple insurance coverage offers and a side-by-side coverage comparison. To learn more, go to buildinginsurancerisk.com. Today, my guests are Shawn Buchheit. He is the Chief Operating Officer for Fountain Life, and Gloria Caulfield. Gloria is the Vice President of Strategic Alliances for Tavistock Development Company. And in just a minute, we're going to speak with Shawn and Gloria about how master planned communities can lead to healthier living. But first, a quick reminder, if you like our show, CRE PN Radio, there are a couple things you can do to help us out. You can like, share, and subscribe. And as always, we encourage you to leave a comment. We love to hear from our listeners. Also, if you want to see how attractive our guests are, be sure to check out our YouTube channel. You can find us on YouTube at Commercial Real Estate Pro Network. And while you're there, please subscribe. With that, I want to welcome my guest, Shawn Buchheit and Gloria Caulfield. Welcome to CRE PN Radio.
Hey, Darren, good morning.
Well, and before we get started, if each of you could take just a minute and share with the listeners a little bit about your background.
Certainly. Gloria?
Yeah, so I am Vice President of Strategic Alliances here at Tavistock. Tavistock Group being the owner of Lake Nona. And but I also wear a second hat here as president of the Lake Nona Institute. I mean, I think what's kind of interesting about my background, I've been with Tavistock for 12 years, but prior to coming here, I spent most of my career in healthcare. So I have a background as a healthcare executive coming to, very large scale real estate development project. And I think as we talk further, it'll become evident as to why my background is useful here.
Awesome. Perfect. Shawn Buchheit, Chief Operating Officer for Fountain Life Holdings. We have two businesses that we operate, one being the centers, Fountain Life Centers, and the other being a health insurance company called Fountain Health Insurance. My background in health and wellness, mostly on the health and wellness side. So I've had a long history of partnering with Gloria in the past, and certainly what we've done here in recent months and in this recent year is pretty exciting.
Great. Well, I guess the first thing I'm thinking of is, this partnership between Fountain Life and Tavistock. Can you kind of explain the two parties and how the partnership came together?
Yeah, sure. I could, Gloria, if you don't mind.
Yeah, please.
So I've had a professional working relationship with Tavistock and Gloria long before my time here at Fountain Life. When I came over to Fountain Life, when we were thinking about locations for our centers, we really had two kind of primary decisions that we wanted to make sure that we considered. One is we wanted to be part of mixed use development communities, those that delivered and promoted access and collaboration through hospitality, mixed use, residential, multifamily, multi-tenant space on the corporate side. Number one, so we wanted to be in a network that facilitated that. And number two, we wanted to partner with organizations that promoted and cultivated health and wellness innovation. And so with that, with Lake Nona and Tavistock having the Impact Forum up there, which is an invitation-only event every year, those two things really made Lake Nona an easy decision for us.
Got it. And Tavistock, Gloria, how long has this development been in the plans, and how far along is it?
Yeah, so I think first of all, I have been with Tavistock for 12 years. And so when you think about Lake Nona, it's a massive project, 17 square miles, 14,000 acres, and there's multiple dimensions to it. There's a health and life sciences cluster that's 850 acres. There's a whole residential component. There's a sports and performance district. And then there's, all of this commercial development layered throughout. And so I would say that, the land acquisition that our chairman made was in the late 1990s, but the trajectory of the project really changed about 15 years ago with an alignment of interest between the University of Central Florida, who wanted to build a medical school, and our interest in creating something very unique and different. So our whole focus at Lake Nona is around creating the ideal place through innovative collaboration that promotes and inspires human potential. So as a developer, that's what we think about every day. So we get up and say, how are, what we're doing today impacting that commitment that we've made. So it's been, for us, looking for partners that clearly align with that mission and vision. This is a multi-decade project. And as I said, there's a lot of different components to it. But I would say that as a developer, we were one of the early pioneers around wellness real estate before it was even really kind of coined that way.
Now, you mentioned the original land acquisition was in the 90s, and then like 15 years ago, so 2008-ish, is that kind of when
I would say that the trajectory of the project really started to shape up around 2005 to 2008. We had the land, we had the ability to be patient, and the commitment is that we wanted to do something exceptional with this property. It's in a unique location. We're door to door 10 minutes from the Orlando International Airport. We're right directly in the heart and center of the state. We're 30 minutes from the Space Coast. And I think there was a commitment early on with our owner and our leadership that we wanted to do something exceptional here. And looking at sort of the health and life sciences industry, that became an organizing principle for us to kind of build around. But we didn't just stop with the health and life sciences cluster. There was all of these other components that I mentioned that we layered around. So essentially, we're building a city. If you think about every aspect of what it takes to build a city with residential, commercial, health and life sciences, entertainment, sports, we're involved in all of those things.
Yeah, I was going to ask, based on the size and scope of the project, I mean, it does kind of sound like you're almost, I don't know about a county, but clearly a city, just based on all the land and all of the different infrastructure needs to build, the projects and all that. So when was it that Fountain Life and Tavistock then became kind of linked for this Lake Nona project?
Shawn?
Yeah, so we're almost 3 years old as a company and organization. So it had to be, I think, early 21. Once I came over to Fountain Life, I had reached out to Gloria and I just wanted to share with her, what I was doing and what we were involved with. And I wanted to see if she might be interested in coming down with her team and experience it and maybe having a conversation with us. So, gratefully, she did come down with a couple other leaders from her team and kind of went through our program at Fountain Life. And that was really the genesis or the foundation of our conversation and partnership.
Yeah, and I think, go ahead. I was just going to add to that. I mean, when you think about what we already had here, when Shawn and Dr. Cap came here, we already had a brand new medical school. We had a brand new college of pharmacy, the most state-of-the-art VA healthcare campus in the country. Nemours Children's Hospital, Innovation Center. So all of these things over the course of the last, call it 13 years, had been conceptualized, developed, and became operational. But what it lent itself to, and I think one of the things that we dream about is, where's the future of healthcare? We know the current status of healthcare, but how can we have an impact on the future of healthcare? And the built environment itself, it is definitely an enabler of health. Thoughtfully planned and curated, the built environment is an enabler. And then bringing in experts like Fountain Life that think about, how do you create long-term wellness with their clientele and their population, not only in the diagnostic and the clinical setting, but also through new health insurance products. So, really the future of health, in our view, is how do you keep people well? And there's a lot of different dimensions to that. And Fountain Life is, in our view, one of the perfect partners to come in and help inform our thinking on that.
So, Shawn, I want to ask you on the Fountain Life. So the Lake Nona development is moving along. How is it that Fountain Life is able to kind of insert partner and help shape this mindset or contribute to the development and the overall?
Yeah, no, thank you, Darren. For us, it's been a very easy and natural fit. By definition, wellness is proactive. And what we do is we really start on the front end with diagnostic screening, early detection, optimization, and longevity. So for us to come in and have really all the collaboration and the resources that Gloria outlined, and be able to partner and promote and really, quarterback, experiences for the benefit, the wellness benefit of residents and members there, has really been an easy and a natural fit for us.
Got it. And Gloria, you mentioned that there's already like multiple development that's taken place. In comparison to the master plan, how far along are you as far as development, percentage wise? Or
I mean, I would say that we have done a lot in the last 12 to 13, to 14 years. There has been a lot that is here on the ground that just simply did not exist 12 to 13 years ago. But we still have a long way to go. And so, here, this is as I mentioned, a multi-decade project. And we're building more for density than just say what I would consider, typical urban sprawl. So, I wouldn't necessarily want to put my stake in the ground right at the moment and say, hey, we're halfway there or a third of the way there. But because as innovators, there's new opportunities that come all of the time. But I would like to maybe circle back on something that Shawn said. When you have a brain trust like Fountain Life that comes into a entrepreneurial community like Lake Nona, there's the opportunity to have influence on a lot of things. I mean, it's a destination program that provides, in my mind, the most sophisticated assessment that anybody on the planet could want to really understand their health in a very proactive way. But there's also the opportunity with some of these neighbors to Fountain Life to have an impact on things like medical education. We have 500 medical students here on property. We have 350 pharmacy students here on property. We have adjacent to the Fountain Life operation, a medically integrated fitness and performance facility, which is a very different type of fitness offering that we have for our community here. And so when you have an organization like Fountain Life that's sort of always on the leading edge, looking at, different types of technologies and diagnostics and what's the latest, with the brain trust of professionals at Fountain Life, it will help inform the future of all of those things that we talked about. It can't help but have a halo effect, as students, medical students may have the opportunity to, come and observe and learn with their medical director. Um, gives the opportunity for people that are in our ecosystem that are trying to optimize their own human performance, elite athletes like from the United States Tennis Association. We're home to like over 40 professional golfers here, et cetera. So when you have something like this, it can have such a broad impact on how we think about medicine as a health ecosystem in Lake Nona.
Yeah, I'm curious, maybe Shawn or Gloria, either one of you, but with Fountain Life, is Fountain Life more engaged in kind of like the concepts and how to engage the residents and the people in the community, or does it also engage with any kind of like design and master plan as far as how to integrate certain elements of the physical space to more of a healthy lifestyle or promoting health, or both?
I think it's all that. Gloria can speak to the details, with the Witt House and some of the innovation that Lake Nona provides specifically. But we look at all that, and it's just amazing opportunities there at Lake Nona. Gloria, you want to talk about the Witt House?
Yeah, no, I think you're right, Shawn. I mean, I think that when you think about a typical real estate development, organizations come in, they go through a process to either buy land, lease space, and then they occupy. But what we do is we layer on, I mean, this is a real living lab in Lake Nona. This is a place where, we want to have an impact. So we layer on all kinds of other things that we engage, our partners in. So as an example, Shawn mentioned the Lake Nona Impact Forum. The Lake Nona Impact Forum is a signature health innovation event, invitation only. And we felt it was important to do this because when you have a large scale project like that, it's really important to be on the leading edge of what's happening in health innovation, because you can use that information to inform your future. So we have it's kind of a mini Davos for health and well-being, mini Aspen Institute type of event where we convene about 500 people annually. Some of the brightest minds around the country and the world, including Fountain Life founders and principals that have come to speak to us about all of these various topics. And then in addition to that, we look like within our living lab, we look at opportunities to have ongoing mechanisms around the built environment. So as an example, Shawn mentioned Witt House. Witt House is a node in our living lab. It stands for the Wellness Home Built on Innovation and Technology. And it's a real house in a real community. And it was really brought to life to just answer the question, what is a healthy home? And, there's big companies, there's entrepreneurs, there's, startups all involved in that project. And Fountain Life is at the table helping us to bring their expertise and, their, thought process into, how do you take what they so brilliantly do in the clinical setting out into the home environment? Because, once a patient leaves the Fountain Life environment, there's a lot of touch points and opportunities to continue to optimize health and well-being in the home. There's this kind of sobering statistic that over 90% of our everyday living as humans is indoors. In the past, it was outdoors. So, we have to look at that as innovators and say, okay, well, that's probably not going to change, but how do we intelligently look at commercial spaces and residential opportunities to, create health in more of an ambient way within these environments.
Yeah. Is there a specific element that you can point to? You mentioned this Whit House. It sounds kind of interesting. It sounds like is it basically an example house of the different concepts that can be integrated in a home, or is there a specific element in that you can cite that has been inspiring, or people have been like, wow?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a few different examples. It's very diverse. There's hundreds of solutions in this home, but I think one is lighting. Lighting itself, is now known to be an opportunity to optimize health, or lighting can be very unhealthy, depending on what you have. And so we've brought in lighting experts to help us think about, how do we have lighting solutions in a home that optimize our natural circadian rhythms? And how do we do that in a way that, it's very intuitive? So, that's one example. We also have wellness windows. And the wellness windows, there's a great company called View Glass that we partner with. And essentially, it negates the opportunity to even have curtains, because the glass automatically tints based on what's happening. And that's great for all kinds of things. It's for energy usage, for headaches, for anxiety. Lighting, good lighting or bad lighting, can create all different kinds of reactions, in the human body. And then even things like, we have a prototype from GE Appliances on a cooktop that helps make cooking intuitive, scratch cooking intuitive, and directs you towards healthy recipes and menu planning and things of that nature. So there's a lot of different solutions in there, but those are a few examples.
No, I appreciate you sharing that. So that's like in a home kind of example. I'm kind of curious, in the community, you've talked about how it's more of a density type development as opposed to the sprawl. Are there, are parks or green space, or is there any like elements in the design there that whether it be Fountain Life or you have recognized that are key to healthier environment, or is there anything you can point to there?
Yeah, number one, we are committed to have a significant amount of green space within the community. It is vital. And so that is a commitment that's been made from day one. And so as you navigate around the community, there's beautiful pocket parks and just lots of beautiful undeveloped green spaces throughout the community. So that's really huge. I think the other thing is building the community from the beginning to promote mobility, pedestrian friendly, cycling friendly, things that a lot of communities now have to go back and retrofit. We've done that from the beginning, and we have over 50 miles of trails throughout the community. And, I just think, like, again, taking some of the concepts from the Whit House into the commercial environment, it is possible to have wellness workplaces. It is possible to take technologies like the View Glass that I mentioned and scale those across big buildings. And so it's been interesting to see how we've taken these concepts from a project like WIT and scale them more broadly across the community. My lights are going off. That's my cue to move.
Oh, say last call. I gotta move it. So no, I appreciate you sharing that. The and even that, like you mentioned, the lights and that, is that those types of cues that are built
Yeah.
into where people, keep moving and
Yes. This
you know.
is Yes, this workplace was really built with dozens of wellness principles in mind, and that's one of them. You're sitting still too long, the lights start to come down, and it's like it is a cue to get up and start moving, and just incorporate movement into your meeting and what have you. So that's just one small example.
No, that's great. I'm curious, you mentioned like a traditional development as opposed to kind of the uh, the effort that you're doing there at Lake Nona. Um, is there an identifiable cost increase, or have you found it to be comparable to what one would expect to spend on a traditional development?
You mean with bringing in some of these
Well,
non
just overall,
just
I mean, I'm just trying to think. I think a lot of times the I guess you know, profitability has always got to be on the front, on the mindset of a developer. When you're putting something together, whether it be to sell or to operate, or obviously you're trying to make something attractive that people want to come and use or buy or lease or however. I'm just curious with some of the elements that you're integrating into this Lake Nona. Is there any kind of a cost, an additional cost to do that, or have you found it to be um, relatively neutral? Or
Yeah, well, listen, I don't want to necessarily speak for our full development team here, but we're building something new from scratch. And when you're early adopters of technologies and new products, I mean, there's always a bit of a premium associated with those things. And so, I mean, who's attracted to this? I mean, there are people that are attracted that, want to look at things differently. They want to offer different environments to their patients and their customers, like Fountain Life. They want to have, a genuine, healthy environment to offer for their employees and, of course, our residents. So, yeah, I mean, is there a bit of a premium in being out on the leading edge and some of these things? Yes, but I'd say that overall we're still highly competitive.
sure, and like you said, the environment that you're creating is going to attract people that are interested in the lifestyle, I would assume, as opposed to something that they can get elsewhere.
Sure.
So that makes sense. Um, so this development here, I know that you've talked about the size of that. Is it primarily as a developer? Are you primarily developing the infrastructure and then selling uh, the different parcels to others to develop, or do you retain ownership, or have you been developing and leasing kind of long-term hold, or how is that that you guys are situated for?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a little bit of a mixture. So we have some big anchors here. Disney announced a large regional campus here, so you may be familiar with that. KPMG has a huge presence here, an 800,000 square foot facility. The VA is here. They have a 1.2 million square foot facility. So those are land sales, with some of those big
Right.
anchors. Um, but a lot of the commercial, multifamily commercial buildings, restaurants and all, we retain ownership of those. And we own and operate again, because this is a multi-decade vision and view here. And then sure, there's some ground leases and things of that nature, but I'd say overall, you know, we're interested in the long-term outcome of this project, the aesthetic, fulfilling the mission. And for that reason, a lot of the land is under our ownership.
Yeah, that makes sense. Lake Nona, was it an actual community before you guys, or before, Tavistock started developing it, or was it just a bunch of open space?
Agricultural land,
Yeah.
most part. The original asset that was acquired in the late 1990s that was built out was the Lake Nona Golf and Country Club. So the country club with some luxury residential, which obviously we still have and we operate and so on, but a lot of land that had no development on it was really what we had.
And have you had to create like government as such to operate that, or is
No,
that no?
no, we're not like Reedy Creek Improvement District or anything like
Okay,
that with Disney.
right.
We work very closely and collaboratively with Orange County and with the city of Orlando. We have an extraordinary relationship with them. We value the way that is working.
And at the completion of the build out, which sounds like it's well off into the future, is there any kind of an estimate as to the number of housing units and or square footage that will be in the total?
Yeah, not nothing that I would share. I mean, I think that things continue to evolve. So again, I think originally we didn't have a lot of multifamily in the master plan, and now we do. And obviously we so nothing specific that I would share at this time.
All right. And Shawn, again, with Fountain Life, do you operate facilities there, or is it more of an integration at various points throughout the development and working with Tavistock?
Yeah, we do have a center. So we really have two locations there. We have our center. It's a 10,000 square foot, primarily member-based facility. And we're also under construction with our new corporate office there in Lake Nona. But I think for all the things that you heard Gloria go through, it's those opportunities to integrate and collaborate throughout the community, whether it's in the home or any of the other solutions. That's the really some of the magic that's there in with Tavistock and Lake Nona.
Yeah, I would think name awareness and however you're able to place Fountain Life in the new and what's going forward would be of value to you and your customers and the community there. That's great. Is there a signature event or anything that you do in the community as far as Fountain Life that people look to, or is it just kind of a continuous working with Tavistock?
Yeah, I think as we mentioned earlier, the signature event, even for us to be able to participate, is the Impact Forum. We've been very fortunate. Gloria has been an incredible host to us. We've been able to bring in Tony Robbins to do a keynote speak, Dr. Cap, Peter Diamandis. So we've had, she's been extremely gracious, and the whole Tavistock team with allowing us to participate and integrate it to the Impact Forum. But that is the event. And that's definitely a big benefit to being a tenant there in Lake Nona.
Yeah, and to add to that, I mean, I think that working with Fountain Life, it's been almost, if you take all of the strong assets and attributes that we have and you kind of mix it together, and Fountain Life has been like one of the perfect partner. So I mentioned we're 10 minutes door to door to the airport. A lot of the Fountain Life clients are destination. They're not, there's probably more coming from somewhere else than reside, right here in Central Florida. So having that frictionless access to the airport for their clients has been a plus. And then, you kind of layer over that we want to be known as an epicenter for health innovation. That's driving the why. Why do we do a signature event like the Lake Nona Impact Forum? It's it is quite a big undertaking. And it's now become well known as a place where health innovators want to speak and they want to be involved. And so having some of the incredible experts like Dr. Cap, the CEO and co-founder of Fountain Life, Dr. Bob Hariri, who's a renowned expert in stem cell, et cetera, having Peter Diamandis, the founder and chairman of the X Prize Foundation, of course, Tony Robbins, who wrote an incredible book, Life Force, a year ago that captivated a lot of people's attention around these topics. We actually have a platform to bring in experts like that to be able to share with other national and global leaders. And it then also creates a why, like why bring an organization like Fountain Life into the Lake Nona ecosystem. It is just a natural extension. So in 22, Dr. Cap came to the Impact Forum and spoke, and he announced, this is where we're going to have, one of our flagship locations and bring our headquarters and so on and so forth. So now, a year later, Fountain Life, clients, guests, as well as some of our Impact Forum guests could actually walk into the facility and partake in some of these leading edge services. So it's really, again, going back to how do we bring substance to our aspirations and our vision and the things that we talk about. That's just one mechanism to bring additional value to relationships like the one we have with Fountain Life.
No, it is fascinating. The the development and kind of the idea, but then also this integration of the kind of the wellness mindset and really trying to execute on that. I think that's I applaud you guys for pursuing that, because I think a lot of times there's a lot of ideas, but I don't always see the execution. Might be
Yeah.
And so I know it's not always easy to do, and to have the commitment on both sides to do that and to be fully integrated into the community, I think is a win for everybody. So
Yeah,
congrats on
and
that.
then I think Fountain Life is really well known for recruiting and bringing in world-class physicians. And we're very fortunate to have Dr. Helen Messier, who's a renowned practitioner of functional medicine here in Lake Nona. Well, when you have someone of that caliber, they want to do research and they want to, there's other things that they want to do outside of, the practice in the clinic. So, her being able to sit down with the dean of our medical school or our research council and have the opportunity to discuss some of her goals around research and validating various health outcomes. We actually have, the organizations here that can support someone of that caliber with that type of research.
No, that's great. Hey guys, if we could, I'd like to shift gears here for a second. By day, I'm an insurance broker, and as such, I work with my clients to assess risk and determine what to do with the risk. And there's 3 strategies we typically consider. We first look to see if there's a way we can avoid the risk. And that's not an option. Then we look to see if there's a way we can minimize the risk. And if we are unable to avoid or minimize the risk, we look to see if there's a way we can transfer the risk. And that's what an insurance policy is. It's a risk transfer vehicle. And as such, I like to ask my guest if they can look at their own situation. It could be clients, investors, the future, interest rates, political, however you would like to identify what you consider to be the biggest risk. And again, for clarification, while I am an insurance broker, I'm not necessarily looking for an insurance-related answer. And so if you're willing, I'd like to ask you, Shawn Buchheit and Gloria Caulfield, what is the biggest risk?
Well, For us, it's overextending. You've heard all the wonderful, the ecosystem that's there at Lake Nona and Tavistock. There's so many incredible opportunities to do exciting new things. For us, it's really important just to remain focused on our core business and what we are and who we are, and prioritize all the amazing opportunities that we have as part of being part of an ecosystem like that. So just, again, overextending for us, and it would be our biggest risk.
Gloria, anything from you? Or
Yeah, I mean, I think our biggest risk is not being true to our mission. I mean, we have this whole mission and vision statement that I mentioned earlier, to create the ideal place, to inspire human potential through innovative collaboration. And when you have a mission statement like that, I mean, it's a pretty lofty goal. And but it also is a filter for us. Like, it's a filter of organizations we want to be associated with or not associated with. The types of businesses that really are a good fit within this, because it's really the sum total that's going to ladder up to fulfilling the mission. And real estate development is tricky. I mean, it's always fraught with various challenges, but at the end of the day, are you able to really fulfill the dream that you've created or not? And to me, that's the biggest risk. And so far, I think we're on a phenomenal path to continue to do that.
that's great. I appreciate you sharing it. Shawn and Gloria, where can the listeners go if they'd like to learn more or connect with you?
Yeah, for Fountain Life, it's fountainlife.com. We hope to see you there.
Yeah, learn Lake Nona, learnlakenona.com.
All right. Shawn Buchheit and Gloria Caulfield, I cannot say thanks enough for taking the time to talk today. I've enjoyed it, learned a lot, and look forward to doing it again soon.
Thank you, Darren.
All right. For our listeners, if you like this episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Remember, the more you know, the more you grow. That's all we've got this week. Till next time, thanks for listening to Commercial Real Estate Pro Network's CRE PN Radio.